Welcome to Meet the Host, the show where we flip the script on the host. My name is Michael Rippe, and I am your host of Meet the Host. And today, we have a very special guest, TV host, media training coach, Shannon O'Dowd.
Hi.
Welcome
Happy to be here.
to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And so you can follow Meet the Host at Meet the Host all over social media. Make sure to subscribe and like us on YouTube. Of course, you can follow me on social media at Mike Rips. And of course, Shannon O'Dowd, you're all over the Shannon O'Dowd on social media and ShannonO'Dowd.com.
Yep, I try to keep it easy.
And I know that because I was there learning, studying, figuring it all out. And as a host, you should go there too. So welcome to Meet the Host. Thanks for being here.
Yep, no, it's exciting.
So first to start off, you've been in this a while. You've been doing a lot of things.
Yeah, for years, yes.
Where does it all start for Shannon O'Dowd?
Well, where it started for me was I started out as an actress. You know, I know it's the story. I didn't even go to graduation. I finished my last exam in college. I filled up my car and drove out to LA, and I just wanted to be a star. And then, you know, it actually went pretty well. I had a role in Bold and the Beautiful for a while, and then I was a series regular on a show, the first scripted show for TLC. And then the writer's
What
strike.
show?
It was called Diagnosis X.
Okay.
I actually had the first scripted love scene in TLC history. So that was kind of fun.
Interesting.
And then the writer's strike happened, and it didn't get picked up for a second season. At that point, I had quit my day job, my regular job, because I thought that
you're there.
I was there.
You're in
I had
Hollywood.
arrived.
Yeah.
So then I was like, oh, goodness gracious, what am I going to do? So I started auditioning for commercials, and I was supposed to go in to be like a testimonial for Sunsweet Raisins, like to eat the raisin and be like, oh, this is so good. And I went in, and they're like, we've been auditioning for the spokesperson all day. You kind of have the right look. Here's the copy. And it was like, you know, of course, like this much copy. And like I went out to my car and I was like, what am I gonna do? And I worked on it. I went back in. I booked it. I was a Sunsweet Raisin spokesperson, so I got to go around to all these farmers markets, and all of it was direct to camera. And a commercial director friend of mine was like, you should be a host. You're really good at this. So that's kind of how it started.
Someone told you, do you love raisins?
Well, I do like raisins. I mean, I don't know more or less than the average person, but I don't dislike raisins.
So this was memorable. This is how you became a host. Someone just
Yes.
said you should be a host. And from that moment, you're like, okay, let me get into this hosting thing.
Yeah, I was a spokesperson in a commercial, and someone said to me, you're really good at this. And I remember at the time being like, what is that? What is a host? You know?
And I think that's a good question. What is a host? Because a host, I think, is changing as the digital landscape evolves.
Yeah, I'm almost afraid to say what I think it is because it's changing so much that in a month
it might be different.
something
Well,
different.
don't be afraid. What is
Well,
it, right?
I mean,
because this is one of the things I want to ask you nowadays. What is a host now?
Well, a host essentially is somebody that guides you through an experience, a process, an education of something. They're essentially a guide, right? Mm-hmm. Now, for the purposes of entertainment, we also need to be entertaining while we guide someone through that process or experience or product, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I say it in kind of such vague terms because, you know, it used to be that you hosted a game show or you hosted a reality show, or, you know, maybe you were an entertainment reporter, but now you have influencers and you have, you know, I mean, it's just the way that we consume content is changing so much.
And so rapidly.
So rapidly that influencers that do video content are essentially hosts as well.
That's
you
right.
know, because they're usually guiding us through an experience of a product that they love or an experience that they enjoyed. So it's kind of the wild, wild west out there right now.
And
we're not consuming content just on a TV anymore. So
that's right. And that's one of the main reasons we really wanted you on Meet the Host so soon, because of your expert in media training. I think as the rapid change happens in the industry, it's important that hosts, whether they're presenters, live event, or studio anchors, whatnot, are able to stay up to date with what's changing and how to, you know, continue to morph and make sure that they're a good host in what they're doing as it grows. As a host, do you have a preference for like a live event, doing tape stuff? What do you feel? Like, I mean,
Ooh, Well, I mean, you're never going to feel more alive than when you do a live event, right? Because, there's no second takes.
Lights, camera, action.
It is, yeah. But you know what? I think whenever somebody comes and they train with me and they say, what are the things that I could be doing to make me a stronger host? There's two things I always say. First, take an improv class because you need to be able to think on your feet, okay? If you're on a red carpet, some huge celebrity that you've always loved your entire life is in front of you. You're supposed to interview them. Like, you need to be able to think on your feet, have intelligent questions, feel comfortable in the moment. So improv is so crucial. The other thing that's really important, I think, is live presenting. Okay? It's like being in the gym of being a host.
That's right.
Right?
Just getting those repetitions.
Absolutely. There's nothing that's going to make you stronger than getting up in front of a live audience and having to deliver content in a dynamic, entertaining way that's going to transform and move people.
You said first improv. Do you recommend any improv courses, classes specifically? Because there's a lot out there.
There are. In Los Angeles, I can speak a little bit more intelligently because that's where I live. But I think UCB is great.
UCB.
I mean, it's been really popular.
I've studied there.
Yeah. I mean, there's, Improv Olympics got, really good teachers, Second City, Groundlings, they're all great, but UCB's team, it seems to be the one that's the most popular right now in LA.
You love live hosting, live presenting.
I have a lot of respect for it.
So, Shannon O'Dowd, as the live presenter, what is the job of the live presenter? Like the job of the host when it comes to live presenter, let's say.
Well, the job of the host as a live presenter is you might sometimes have to gather a crowd. It depends on the job. Okay. Sometimes that's not your responsibility, but you have to keep the crowd. You got to keep the crowd all the way till the end, have them excited about the possibility of what they're going to get if they experience the product or service or offering that you have to share with them, right? So being engaging, keeping them invested all the way through to the end. I mean, that really is it. And then showing them what's possible on the other side of experiencing what you're telling them about.
And so you have been in this, starting with the raisins, into hosting, spokesperson, so much experience. Any special way that not only maybe you prepare or you can give tips on how a host could prepare? Not just by taking your UCB class, but let's say before you go live, right before it, or in moments.
It's funny that you should ask that because we kind of did a little semblance of something right before we started today. Right. Everybody handles nervousness in their own unique way. Some people shut down and kind of go into their cave. Some people get kind of manic, right? So knowing, first of all, how you handle nervousness is key, right? So if you are one of those people that shut down, then you need to maybe do some jumping jacks, some running in place, some push-ups, just jumping, just like getting your energy going, because you need to be your most telegenic self, right? Or your best performance self if you're doing live and it's not on camera. But you need to be that kind of 8, right? I always say keep yourself between that 8 and that 9. You don't want to be a 10. You don't want to be over at the top. You don't want to be a 4 or a 5, or else people are going to be bored and tune out, right? So whatever it takes to get you to that 8 to 9 range, whether it's doing some yoga, some stretching, or boosting your energy up, like that's something that you kind of have to play with a little bit. There's also visualization exercises. There's deep breathing you can do.
And as you said, do you want to give a little tip that we did a little bit before we started our segment about taking some deep breaths.
Right. Well, I did a 3-3-6 with you guys, but I typically recommend for my clients like a 4-4-8. And what that really means and does for you is that when you start to get scared or nervous about something, you go into the reptilian part of your brain, which is all fight or flight. Right? It's all like, oh gosh, I'm gonna die, and it's hard to be creative when you're in fight or flight, right? So what 4-4-8 does, meaning breathing in for 4, holding for 4, and then breathing out for 8, and doing that several times, that breathing actually moves you from your reptilian brain back into your cerebral cortex so you can be creative, present, and actually available to do a great job and have free-flowing things happen organically in the moment.
4-4-8. There's a tip right there.
That's my favorite.
I like it. We practiced the 3-3-6.
Well, we abbreviated.
It was
We needed to get
quick,
going.
but it was but 4-4-8, something to remember, and a tip right there.
There's just something about taking longer to exhale than that you do to inhale that really does recalibrate your whole nervous system.
Resets you.
Yeah.
I think that's true because I felt it
Relaxed.
really it was relaxing at the start.
Yeah.
It was new. I'm going to try that more often. I want to touch on some hosting quickly. When you are hosting, do you like to write your own questions? Do you like getting suggestions from other people to write questions? Let's say you got an interview coming up.
Okay.
Where do you find tips as far as write your own questions or have questions given to you and then delivered?
Well, I think it might be a marriage of the two.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
It's nice to get questions sent to you because it gives you sort of a framework of what they're envisioning, what the producers or the content creators are hoping to get out of the segment. So I think it's a good way to kind of have some arrows pointing in the right direction. And then based on that, I like to fill in my own questions that are thoughtful, that maybe will create, because they're relying on us to create the relationship in an interview process. So we are the best ones at doing that. Right? So if we can fill in with our own questions and figure out ways to create that relationship, we're going to get a more dynamic interview. We're going to get better sound bites. That's what they've really come to us for and they hire us for.
And as someone that's done both sides now of not just being the host, but now training and teaching hosts, do you get extra pleasure out of being like the trainer and being a TV hosting coach and seeing students maybe get good gigs or their growth, and how is that from the side of being the coach?
I do get so much out of coaching, so much more than I really thought that I ever would. You know, I remember when I started teaching for a really amazing teacher here in town, and she asked me to teach, and I was like, I'm not a teacher. And then she's like, just do it because I think you have the knack. Because she'd always let me kind of give feedback in class when I took it.
Okay.
And so I started teaching, and I really love it. I really love it. And I've had, clients that have made it onto major national television shows. Just in the last month, I've had 3 clients that have gotten full-time gigs on major shows, a couple of which I can't mention because they haven't been actually announced yet. But I'm just like a proud mom, and it's so rewarding in a way that I can't even explain, to be able to be a part of somebody else's journey and success.
And I think as a host, I'm a host and knowing hosts, that it's hard to do it alone too. And I think everybody can use coaching and training, and as one of the premier training coaches here in Los Angeles, which is the entertainment capital of the world, right?
Yeah.
That's high praise.
Thank you.
And your name is known around town, not just in this town, but many towns. What can you say to someone that wants to get involved or further their career? They go to ShannonO'Dowd.com and they look around and there's a lot there. Do they start with the webinar? Do they start by sending an email? Do they sign up for a class? Is it individualistic? Depends on where they're at in their career. How do you recommend someone get involved and get in contact with you?
That's a really good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's like, you're like, I kind of done this before. So I think probably the best way is to go into my book a session, and I have a free just like 10-minute call that you could schedule with me, and it's got my calendar right there on the website.
Super easy.
Super easy. Let's just jump on the phone for 10 minutes. Everybody's situation is so different. It might be where you might have, you might be getting ready for a speech, and your company wants you to start doing more public speaking. You might have a news appearance that you're prepping for. You might, have this super big audition to be, a host. Like, everybody's situation is so different. So I want to make sure that I'm providing you with the right experience for you.
This is amazing coming from you to hear that, because like you said, everyone has a unique situation. They could be trying to become a host at a network. They could be doing a live presentation, a corporate presentation. They could be doing something taped, and you're able to walk through the different areas and give them specialized guidance and expertise in that area.
Yeah.
which is going to be
Absolutely.
super helpful. So taking that 10-minute call, which is free, is incredible. So you should definitely go to ShannonO'Dowd.com and check it out, because you can not only set up that call with Shannon, but you can sign up to get information and resources right away. There's a lot of resources right there on the website.
There are. And I do have an online course. I do have, a free webinar. I have a lot of resources that are on there, but I also just think that sometimes jumping on the call is the easiest way.
And also getting that human interaction that
nobody talks on the phone anymore.
It's true. It's true. Everyone.
But it's good for me just to kind of hear your energy, hear your story, and make sure that I'm not just throwing a package at you that may not be exactly what you need.
Right. So no matter what you're going to do, I recommend doing that for sure. I mean, we got on a call before this, and that was super helpful for myself for sure. It's important because everyone has a unique situation, that you have unique ways of connecting with them in different packages, and make that call and then see where you can go from there. Whether it's a webinar, whether it's in person, whether it's online, what works for you can work for Shannon, and it can work for both of you together.
I've done it all.
Before we let you go, the hosting industry, it's changing, it's evolving. I like everything continues to evolve. As a host, how do you stay evolving with the trends and stuff? What do you say to someone that's watching this, whether they're in LA, they could be anywhere? How do they stay up to date and moving with the social media and everything?
Well, I'm going to go back to a little bit of what I said before, which is I'm afraid I'm going to date myself by saying one thing, because it is the wild, wild west. It is changing constantly. I can say for right now, and what it's been like the last couple years, having a lane is so important. Like 10 years ago, you could just be a really good host and you could work. Like you would work all the time. But now it all really seems to be celebrities and experts. So if you're not a celebrity yet, finding a lane.
Most of us are not celebrities yet.
I
so
mean, we're close.
not everyone is Shannon.
Yeah, right. But I think that being an expert at something, and that doesn't always need to mean that, excuse me, that doesn't need to mean that you're like a lawyer or a doctor. Like if, social media and influencers have allowed, if you really are a great cook, if you're really great at makeup, maybe you haven't gone to culinary school, and maybe you haven't been professionally trained at a makeup academy, but having enough followers actually gives you legitimacy and makes you kind of an expert in your field. So having a lane, sticking to it, creating content around that thing that you love, that will put you on the map. Agencies will look at you. Networks will look at you. I mean, that's kind of the way to monetize being a host right now.
Now it is.
Yeah.
And hopefully that stays fresh as we move forward.
I hope
It doesn't
so.
date itself. No, that
I
is
hope
great.
so.
That is great.
You need a lane.
That is great material. We want to let you, we got to get you out of here. But before we do that, we've told you, check out ShannonO'Dowd.com, the Shannon O'Dowd, all over social media if you want to get in contact with Shannon and see what's coming up. But what is next for Shannon O'Dowd?
Wow, I wrote a book.
You did?
I did.
Wow.
I wrote a book. It comes out in March of 2019.
What's the title?
It's the ultimate guidebook for hosts, experts, and influencers. And I have to tell you, I co-wrote it with this woman, Jackie Jordan, who was a producer for talk shows, Montel Williams, Donny Osmond Show for years. And we started writing the book, and we were like, we have to have a whole section of it on influencers, because
Now it is.
right, that's what it is. So, so I wrote a book. So I'm going to start doing some press appearances next year. And I've been wanting to write a book on. I didn't really feel like there was a good guidebook for people who wanted to become on-camera personalities, whether it's hosts or, I didn't feel like there was a resource available for that. And so I took my years of like videotaping me teaching and, the blogs that I had written, and I kind of culminated everything together along with, Jackie's expertise as a producer in the talk show world. I think it's a really good resource.
And when it comes out in March, where will it be available? Will it be Amazon?
Samuel French, if you're in LA
In
and you
LA.
like to get, it'll be available at airports.
Amazing. Well, many hosts and influencers are traveling. You'll be able to get it in the airport.
Yeah,
Wow,
and
it's
Barnes
exciting.
and Noble. So I'm really, really excited about it. I'm proud of it.
Good.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It kind of ties everything together that we talked about, and that is out in March of 2019.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank
Well, thank you so much for stopping by Meet the Host.
Okay, thank you for having me. This is really fun.
It's Shannon O'Dowd. We wish we could talk to you for so much longer, but please come back.
Have me back.
Come back for your press tour. We would love to sit down with you and talk mainly about the book
Okay.
and more tips and stuff. Follow her, the Shannon O'Dowd. don't forget, ShannonO'Dowd.com for all of the information, resources. Set up that phone call. I did it. You should do it too. All the hosts out there, she's tremendous. She's one of the best in the business, not just at being on camera, but helping you be better on camera. This has been another episode of Meet the Host. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to follow us, subscribe, give us 5 stars on iTunes, like us. We've got a lot more coming from Meet the Host. I'm your host, Michael Rippe. I'm on social media at Mike Rips. For another episode, we'll see you next time where we flip the script on the host.